Medal of Honor is the highest military decoration that a president can bestow.
The tradition of awarding this honor began during the Civil War, and many of those who received this medal have given their lives in the action that earned it.
Years later, the story of his sacrifice humbles and inspires those who hear it.
Looking back on his childhood in Patchogue, New York, you might say that Michael Murphy was born to be a Navy SEAL.
SEALs get their name from operating by sea, air, and land.
And even as a toddler, Michael could find his way through any obstacle when he was just 18 months old.
He darted across the Navy's yard and dove into the swimming pool.
By the time his frantic parents reached him, Michael had swum to the other side with a big smile on his face. As he grew older, Michael learned to swim from one side of a nearby lake to the other, and he developed into a talented, all-around athlete.
But beyond his physical strength, Michael Murphy was born with a powerful sense of right and wrong.
This sense came from devoted parents who taught him to love his neighbor and defend those who could not defend themselves.
Well, Michael took these lessons to heart. One day in school, he got into a scuffle sticking up for a student with a disability.
It's the only time his parents ever got a phone call from the principal, and they couldn't have ever been prouder.
Michael's passion for helping others led him to become a caring brother, a tutor, a lifeguard, and eventually a member of the United States Armed Force.
Michael's decision to join the military wasn't an easy one for his family.
As a Purple Heart recipient during Vietnam, Michael's father understood the sacrifices that accompany a life of service.
He also understood that his son was prepared to make these sacrifices.
After graduating from Penn State with honors,
Michael accepted a commission from the Navy and later set off for SEAL training.
Fewer than a third of those who begin in this intense training program graduate to become Navy SEALs.
Yet, there was little doubt about the determined lieutenant from New York.
And in 2002, Michael earned his Navy SEAL trident.
Michael also earned the respect of his men. They remember him as a wisecracking friend who went by Mikey or Murph.
And they remember an officer that respected their opinions.
They remember a patriot who wore a New York City firehouse patch on his uniform in honor of the heroes of 9/11.
On June 28, 2005, Michael gave his life for these ideals. While conducting surrounds on a mountain ridge in Afghanistan, he and 3 fellow SEALs were surrounded by a much larger enemy force.
Their only escape was down the side of the mountain, and the SEALs launched a valiant counterattack while cascading from cliff to cliff.
But as the enemy closed in, Michael recognized that the survival of his own men depended on calling back to the base for reinforcements. With complete disregard for his own life, he moved into a clearing where his phone would get reception.
Yet his grace and upbringing never deserted him. Though severely wounded, he said thank you before hanging up, and he returned to the fight before losing his life.
Unfortunately, the helicopter carrying the reinforcements never reached the scene. It crashed after being struck by a rocket-propelled grenade.
And in the end, more Americans died in Afghanistan on June 28, 2005 than on any other day since the beginning of Operation Enduring Freedom.
This day of tragedy also has the sad distinction of being the deadliest for Navy's Special Warfare Forces since World War II.
One of Michael's fellow SEALs did make it off the mountain ridge. He was one of Michael's closest friends.
Petty Officer Marcus Luttrell of Texas, author of a riveting book called Lone Survivor, put it this way.
Mikey was the best officer I ever knew, an iron-souled warrior of colossal and almost unbelievable courage in the face of the enemy.
For his courage, we award Lieutenant Michael Murphy the First Medal of Honor for combat in Afghanistan. And with this medal, we acknowledge a debt that will not diminish with time and can never be repaid.
We are blessed to have mothers and fathers like Maureen and Dan Murphy who raise sons of such courage and character.
The President of the United States of America, in the name of Congress, takes pride in presenting the Medal of Honor to Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy.
For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty.
As the leader of Special Reconnaissance Element with Naval Special Warfare Task Unit, Afghanistan, on 27 and 28, 2005.
While leading a mission to locate a high-level anti-coalition militia leader, Lieutenant Murphy demonstrated extraordinary heroism in the face of grave danger in the vicinity of Asadabad, Konar Province, Afghanistan.
On June 28, 2005, operating in an extremely rugged, enemy-controlled area, Lieutenant Murphy's team was discovered by anti-coalition militia sympathizers who revealed their position to Taliban fighters.
Demonstrating exceptional resolve, Lieutenant Murphy valiantly led his men in engaging the large enemy force.
Ignoring his own wounds and demonstrating exceptional composure, Lieutenant Murphy continued to lead and encourage his men.
When the primary communicator fell mortally wounded, Lieutenant Murphy repeatedly attempted to call for assistance for his beleaguered teammates.
Realizing the impossibility of communicating in the extreme terrain, and in the face of almost certain death, he fought his way into an open terrain to get a better position to transmit a call.
In his final act of bravery, he continued to engage until he was mortally wounded, gallantly giving his life for his country and for the cause of freedom.
By his selfless leadership, courageous actions, and extraordinary devotion to duty, Lieutenant Murphy reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of United States service.
The only serviceman to win the Medal of Honor for heroism in Afghanistan is buried in Section 67, Plot 3710 at Calverton National Cemetery, off Exit 68 of the Long Island Expressway, 12 miles from the home where he grew up.
I go every Friday, Miss Murphy said. I talk to Mike, I tell him what's new. I told him about the Medal of Honor. I said, you probably already know.
I said, you did good, kid.
A new headstone is being cut to add the new honor.
The government's standard white markers stick out of the ground only 26 inches.
And it was hard fitting in all of Lieutenant Murphy's information.
It took 4 versions before we got it right, says the father.
As a veteran, Mr. Murphy is entitled to be buried at Calverton and has requested that he be buried next to his son. It is spelled out in my will, he said. The final line he wants to be etched on a tombstone. Together again.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.